The Wood once captivated an entire 90s generation with its honest portrayal of youth and unbreakable friendship. But 26 years later, that cast has lived through dramatic and tragic turns. One was arrested by the FBI, one battled illness, and one rose from obscurity to become a television star. How did they change to become who they are today? Let's explore together. Omar Epps as Mike. Omar Hashim Epps was born on July 20th, 1973, in Brooklyn, New York. In 1999, at 26 years old, he appeared in The Wood as Mike, the main character and the narrator carrying the entire memory of the friend group. It was a role that placed him at the center of a coming-of-age story, where every emotion of the film flowed through his perspective and his voice. But behind the maturity Mike brought to the screen, Omar's real life held wounds that were much harder to hide. His first marriage to Yusra Salama quickly eroded under tension and instability. When Omar fell into heavy alcoholism between 2000 and 2004, arguments became explosive, and exhaustion destroyed every attempt to hold the marriage together. Family pressure made him lose focus in his career, even nearly costing him the roles that once put him at his peak, such as in Love and Basketball or in Too Deep. It was a time when he was both a failing husband and an actor living in the shadows of his own life. From that collapse, Omar's body and spirit spiraled downward. He was diagnosed with prediabetes. Therapy sessions, months of discreet rehab, and days when he couldn't bear to look at himself in the mirror all became part of a slow, painful rebirth. The wounds from a broken marriage, from the streets of Brooklyn, transformed him into a quieter, more cautious man. Today, at 52 years old, Omar Epps has regained his footing with a stable career through Power Book 3, Raising Canaan, social activism, and the support of his family with Keisha Spivey, the woman who stood by him through the darkest years of his life. Living a more balanced life, his net worth is estimated at around $15 million, marking the legacy of an artist who rebuilt himself. Taye Diggs as Roland. Scott Leo Taye Diggs was born on January 2, 1971, in Newark, New Jersey. When filming The Wood in 1999, he was 28 years old and played Roland, the groom who runs away on his wedding day, a character carrying the fear of adulthood, uncertainty about love, and the weight of responsibility. His role was the comedic anchor of the film, but also one of its most emotionally layered. Contrary to Roland's confident image, Taye Diggs' real marriage led him into a maze of confusion. His decade-long marriage to Idina Menzel seemed like a peaceful haven, but mismatched work schedules and the pressures of raising a child slowly widened the distance between them. The custody disputes that dragged on until 2020 drained him, pushing him into a period of severe depression. Even though he remained strong on screen in Empire or The Best Man final chapters, he carried deep inner conflicts about family. After the divorce, Taye Diggs slipped into another cycle of self-destruction: alcohol, therapy, trying to rise again, then falling back down. His relationship with April Jones brought a wave of public backlash. Every mockery, every criticism about making the wrong choice added more pressure on him. By 2025, at 54 years old, Taye Diggs has found some stability after years of emotional turmoil. He continues his work on All American, writes children's books, performs on stage, and lives more slowly, more peacefully. With a net worth of about $16 million, his greatest achievement is not the wealth, but finally reaching a life no longer dragged backward by the past. Richard T. Jones as Slim. Richard Timothy Jones was born on January 16, 1972, in Kobe, Japan. When he joined The Wood in 1999, he was 27 years old and played Slim, the leader of the group, the one who carried both the humor and the tough spirit of the trio. His character served as the bridge between their rebellious past and their mature present, giving the film much of its emotional weight. But while Slim on screen was always strong and confident, Richard's real life carried wounds he rarely speaks about. His first marriage ended in heartbreak and left him with a deep sense of helplessness. Even when he entered his second marriage with Nancy Jones, his partner from 1996 to the present, he still carried emotional anxieties about marriage. Then in 2018, a major incident struck when a woman accused him of sexual harassment during the filming of Santa Clarita Diet. The lawsuit dragged Richard into a spiral of confusion and prolonged stress. He had to prove his innocence with every document, testimony, and witness he could gather. But the most painful part was feeling misunderstood, having his public image torn apart in front of the people who once believed in him. That stress caused his mental health to decline, all because of an unfounded accusation. The only thing that held him together during that dark period was his family, Nancy and their 3 children. Today, at 53 years old, Richard T. Jones continues to star in The Rookie, maintaining a rare consistency for a black actor with one of the highest episode counts in Hollywood television. His net worth is estimated at around $8 million. Not a symbol of wealth, but a testament to a long journey of fighting prejudice, weathering storms, and surviving silent battles no one sees. Sanaa Lathan as Alicia. Sanaa McCoy. Lathan was born on September 19, 1971, in New York City, New York. In 1999, at 28 years old, she played Alicia, Mike's profound first love in The Wood, a character who brought gentleness, maturity, and the quiet pain of youth into the film. Alicia became the emotional anchor of the story, making the themes of friendship, love, and childhood memories feel complete. But Sanaa's real life was far less gentle than her character. Rumors of a secret 3-year relationship with Denzel Washington during the filming of Out of Time placed her under heavy media pressure, with every move and every word scrutinized. Her later relationships, from Tyrese Gibson to French Montana, all ended in silence and disappointment. Never marrying and never having children became the deepest pain of her life, leaving Sanaa questioning herself even when her career shined with roles in Love and Basketball or Alien vs. Predator. Her deepest crisis came in 2018 when she shaved her head for the film Nappily Ever After. Losing her hair felt like losing femininity, losing identity, losing her sense of self. She fell into severe depression, unable to look in the mirror, unable to go outside, unable to believe she was still beautiful. Her career continued soaring with Succession and The Best Man holiday, but inside she was a woman fighting violent emotional storms. In 2025, at 54 years old, Sanaa Lathan rises with a completely different energy, mature, calm, and no longer chasing the standards that once hurt her. She continues acting, directing, voice acting, and pursuing more meaningful artistic projects rather than seeking external validation. Sanaa's net worth is estimated at around $10 million. LisaRaye McCoy as Lisa. LisaRaye McCoy was born on September 23, 1967, in Chicago, Illinois. In 1999, when filming The Wood, she was 32 years old and played Lisa, the bride abandoned by Roland on her wedding day, a pivotal character whose presence created one of the film's most emotional turning points. Her role portrayed a woman who was both strong and deeply wounded, leaving a lasting impression on audiences. But LisaRaye's real life held even more turmoil than her character. Her most infamous marriage, with Michael Missick, the Prime Minister of Turks and Caicos, from 2006 to 2008, was filled with endurance, suspicion, and suppressed pain. After their divorce, she publicly accused him of widespread infidelity, public fund corruption, and abusing his power. Those accusations dragged her into political chaos she never wanted to be part of. And when Missick was investigated for corruption, fled the islands, and went bankrupt in 2011, LisaRaye was pulled into a storm of public scandal, becoming the center of endless gossip and scrutiny. Those events shattered her emotionally, especially as two later engagements also fell apart due to disagreements, distrust, and the emotional insecurities she carried. In 2011, at a charity event, she was suddenly slapped in the face by Nicole Murphy, Eddie Murphy's ex-wife, in front of a crowd. That slap was not just a showbiz altercation. It was the breaking point for years of hidden pain inside LisaRaye. Even so, she fought to maintain her strength, succeeding with the Players Club, All of Us, and Single Ladies. By 2025, at 58 years old, LisaRaye McCoy continues working, joining new TV projects and running her own fashion brand to prove she is no longer the woman defined by scandals. Her net worth is estimated at around $4 million, a number that says no matter how hard life hits, LisaRaye refuses to fall. John Wesley as police officer number 1. John Wesley was born on August 3, 1947, in Lake Charles, Louisiana. In 1999, when he appeared in The Wood at the age of 52, he played police officer number 1, a small role, but one that helped complete the film's humorous and authentic tone. Although he wasn't a main character, his presence carried a familiar warmth for audiences who had seen him on television for decades. But off-screen, John Wesley's life was a long journey marked by trauma and silent endurance. As a Vietnam War veteran, he returned not only with medals, but with severe PTSD that followed him for the rest of his life. Nightmares, sudden flashbacks, fear of loud sounds, and a constant sense of detachment from the world made it difficult for him to function. That anxiety seeped into his marriage and day-to-day life, leaving him exhausted and withdrawn. In his final years, John Wesley lived in loneliness and illness. Multiple myeloma, a malignant cancer he battled for many years, gradually weakened his body, causing severe bone pain and draining his strength. He continued trying to act in television shows such as Hang 'em High with Clint Eastwood and Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot with Sylvester Stallone. But his health deteriorated day by day. Sadly, John Wesley passed away on September 8, 2019, in Los Angeles at the age of 72 after a long fight with multiple myeloma. He left behind $1 million to his family, and his legacy rests in the endurance and courage of an entire lifetime. Tamala Jones as Tanya. Tamala Renee Jones was born on November 12, 1974, in Pasadena, California. In 1999, at 25 years old, she played Tanya, Roland's ex-girlfriend, the one who rushed out to find him on his wedding day to force him to confront himself. Her character carried a mix of humor and bitterness, highlighting the emotional chaos within Roland's love story. But in real life, Tamala endured blows far more painful than any line she delivered on screen. In 2007, she suddenly suffered a ruptured brain aneurysm that caused acute cerebral hemorrhaging. She needed emergency surgery, and the months that followed were a brutal fight to stay alive. The aftermath left her with mild hand tremors, keeping her in a constant state of anxiety. That brain trauma not only weakened Tamala physically but also forced her to sacrifice many career opportunities. Though she kept pushing forward, she once said that after the illness, she didn't just lose her health, she lost her sense of safety. Yet in those difficult days, she fought to hold herself together, and because of that, she won the greatest opportunity of her career. Her role as Dr. Laney Parrish in Castle, which lasted 7 seasons and restored her standing in Hollywood. In 2025, at 51 years old, Tamala Jones continues to work steadily, taking on new film and television projects with a strength even greater than before her illness struck. Her net worth is estimated at around $5 million. DeAndre Bonds as Stacy. DeAndre Bonds was born on March 19, 1976, in Los Angeles, California. In 1999, at 23 years old, he appeared in The Wood as Stacy, Alicia's brother, a member of the Bloods gang, whose raw, threatening energy sharpened the film's confrontational scenes. Despite limited screen time, his character left a strong impression thanks to his authenticity and intense street-like presence. But DeAndre's real life was even more turbulent. In 2001, during a heated argument with his aunt's boyfriend, things spiraled out of control. He used scissors during the altercation, resulting in the man's death. His 11-year sentence for manslaughter became the most devastating fall of his life, all in a single night. His years in prison were filled with guilt, confusion, self-reflection, and overwhelming loneliness. All the confidence he once had, all the dreams of acting, collapsed like the sound of a prison door slamming shut behind him. When he was released in 2011, DeAndre had lost nearly everything. A decade-long interruption in his career meant no one would trust him with major roles. The prison tattoos and the wary eyes of society followed him into every audition. He had to start again from below zero, taking nameless roles, background roles, parts that lasted only minutes. It was the bitterest period of his life. But his persistence kept him standing long enough for a breakthrough. In 2019, he returned powerfully with the role of Scully in Snowfall, bringing a rare ray of light into his journey of redemption. By 2025, at 49 years old, DeAndre Bonds continues acting, slowly rebuilding the life he once lost in a moment of rage. He doesn't have much wealth. His net worth is $500,000 USD. But what he fights to keep isn't money. It's the chance to rebuild and become a new man. Antwon Tanner as Boo Boo. Antwon Tanner was born on April 14, 1975, in Chicago, Illinois. In 1999, at 24 years old, he played Boo Boo, Stacy's close friend and a member of the Bloods gang, bringing an authentic street tone that heightened the tension in the Woods conflict scenes. But in real life, Antwon's journey took darker turns than anything in the film. After rising to fame through Sunset Park and Coach Carter, he was suddenly pulled into a serious scandal. In 2009, the FBI arrested him for selling fake Social Security numbers. Antwon pleaded guilty, was publicly tried, and spent 3 months in prison in 2010, a blow that cost him numerous contracts and the trust of many directors. He later admitted that it was the moment he watched everything fall off a cliff in an instant. After serving his sentence, Antwon fought desperately to save a career that was slipping away. Every casting session came with wary looks, cold rejections, and the haunting memory of his past mistakes, making him feel many times like he could never recover. But fortunately, the role of Skills in One Tree Hill pulled him out of the darkness. A role that lasted 7 seasons, turned him into a familiar face on television, and proved that even when life punishes you, you can still pull yourself back through effort. By 2025, at 50 years old, Antwon Tanner continues acting and working on independent projects, holding on to a small but steady place in Hollywood after nearly losing everything. His net worth is estimated at around $1 million US. Sean Nelson as young Mike. Sean Nelson was born on May 9, 1980 in the Bronx, New York. In 1999, at just 19 years old, he played young Mike, the introspective teenage version of the main character, carrying the innocence, hurt, and early thoughts that gave the wood its soul. But Sean's real journey afterward became deeply ironic. Once a phenomenon after Fresh, 1994, praised as a rare talent, his career never took off the way everyone expected. His 20s became a long stretch of betrayed expectations. Supporting roles in American Buffalo, The Corner, and various crime series like Law and Order or Blue Bloods allowed him brief appearances, just long enough to look familiar, but never long enough to be remembered. Because of that, Sean became trapped in the shadow of his own brilliant past. Early success made everything afterward feel dull. He often shared that every time he walked into an audition room, he felt people were searching for the 1994 version of Fresh. That frustration simmered quietly inside him, making him question whether early fame was a blessing or a curse. By 2025, at 45 years old, Sean Nelson continues to act. He chooses small roles in independent films and occasional television appearances, partly to fuel his passion, partly to support himself. His net worth, around $500,000 USD, allows him to maintain a simple life without leaving the craft he still loves. Malinda Williams, as young Alicia. Malinda Williams was born on September 24, 1970, in Elizabeth, New Jersey. In 1999, at 24 years old, she played young Alicia, the teenage version of Mike's first love, bringing nuance, sharpness, and a feminine warmth that made the youth sequences of The Wood richer in emotion. But behind the sweet glow of her early roles, Malinda slowly went through heartbreaks that changed the way she viewed love entirely. Her first marriage to Mickey Pfeiffer, passionate and full of hope, ended after just 4 years. In 2008, she tried to believe in happiness again with rapper D Nice, but that marriage lasted only a few months, leaving her feeling as though she was born to sign divorce papers more than film contracts. These fractures made the years after Soul Food and Daddy's Little Girls heavier, at times slowing her career's momentum. It wasn't until she entered her 40s that Malinda learned how to heal herself. She focused on cable television, took small but steady roles, and gradually regained a sense of safety in her work after years of emotional turbulence. Mild depression following her divorces forced her to rebuild her life from scratch, from sleep to diet to choosing roles differently. She once admitted that for years she acted simply so she wouldn't have to go home to silence. It was the kind of raw truth many actors never dare say. In 2025, at 50 years old, Malinda Williams continues to work consistently in cable TV series, maintaining steady performance and being recognized as one of the more enduring faces in entertainment for Black audiences. Her net worth is estimated at around $5 million USD, the result of an entire journey spent building a career while healing her heart after repeated heartbreaks. Patricia Belcher as Mrs. Hughes. Patricia Belcher was born on April 7, 1954, in Helena, Montana. In 1999, at 45 years old, she played Mrs. Hughes, the strict teacher who served as one of the moral anchors for the students in The Wood. She appeared briefly, but left a strong impression thanks to her signature stern presence. Yet behind her humor and iconic supporting roles was a loneliness Patricia rarely spoke about. Over more than 3 decades, she became Hollywood's queen of supporting roles with over 150 credits: Bones, 500 Days of Summer, Jeepers Creepers, Good Luck Charlie, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yet she was never given a leading role. In her younger years, that felt normal, but as she grew older, the reality often left her with a quiet ache. She once shared that sometimes her excellence in supporting roles became a box that prevented Hollywood from seeing what more she could do. Even so, Patricia continued giving everything she had to her craft. Throughout the 2000s and 10s and beyond, she appeared in Better Off Ted, Good Luck Charlie, The Villains of Valley View, Father Stu, and countless sitcoms, independent films, and horror movies. Directors loved her for her professionalism. Co-stars loved her for her kindness, humor, and strength. In 2025, at 71 years old, Patricia Belcher is still working, still appearing regularly on television and in film. Her net worth is estimated at around $3 million USD, the product of a long, steady career built on dedication and persistence, even when recognition didn't always come. Cynthia Martell was born in Teaneck, New Jersey. In 1999, she was 36 years old when she played Mike's mother in The Wood, a small but emotionally rich supporting role that helped shape the film's sense of family and the wounded path of the main character's growth. But behind the calm presence of Mike's mother on screen was a personal life full of quiet collisions that Cynthia rarely spoke about. Her marriage went through several periods of intense strain, to the point that she had to temporarily step away from the Broadway stage, where she had once been nominated for a prestigious Tony Award. The pressure of raising 2 children, combined with the instability of an acting career, pushed Cynthia into a fragile period marked by chronic insomnia, severe stress, and the fear of being forgotten. This caused her to miss many opportunities in Hollywood, especially after Nurse Betty. As the 2000s passed, Cynthia gradually returned, but she was no longer the center of the stage as she once had been. Supporting roles in Law and Order and various independent films helped her maintain her craft, but the prolonged marital difficulties made her career much quieter than her true talent deserved. She once admitted that there were times she acted simply to avoid thinking about how her family was falling apart. In 2025, at 66 years old, Cynthia Martell still occasionally appears in television and independent projects, choosing smaller roles that align more closely with her emotional rhythm. She lives a private life with her family and her 2 children, with an estimated net worth of $1.5 million USD, just enough to sustain a stable life after a long journey of balancing work and motherhood. In the end, The Wood didn't just shape our youth. The youth of its cast also changed in ways no one could have predicted. So among all these stories, which actor shocked you the most? Share your thoughts, and remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss more surprising behind-the-scenes stories.